Well, welcome to Noel's World of Whiskey. So today we are going to go after something that I have done not that long ago, Aberlour. I did the Abonad, I did have the Alba, but I haven't done the Alba yet, but I also have the 16. So I felt that it is time to do the 16. But I want to get through it a little faster than I did on the Aberlour, because the Aberlour I gave you a lot of history because it's such a colorful history, that distillery. There's just so much to it. There's some certainly some very I would say prominent people in through the history of whiskey that are connected with Aberlour, and one of them was of course James Fleming. And of course, we have just so much of that typical distillery history from those distilleries that survived through fire, economic strife, through various changes in ownership. And that history I gave to you, and even more, and maybe too much. So I am not going to do that. I am going to get into a little bit more of a condensed review, because you know what? You can go back and you can watch that video on the Aberlour Abonad, and you can learn about that history. So here it is. Let's get up there and let's give you a little bit of what this is all about here. The Aberlour 16-year-old, there it is. Typical of their containers, their tubes, well-built tubes. Now, what is different about this is that the Abonad's lot higher ABV. The Abonad is cask strength. This comes in at a mere 40 ABV. Now, I haven't done a lot of 40s. I think the last one I did was, the Cragganmore, which turned out to be surprisingly a good 40 ABV, because we didn't ever think there was such a thing as a good 40 ABV, but we always finish our reviews on the 40 saying, now what would this be if it was a 46? But anyways, let's not get into that. Let's get into the Aberlour 16, and I'm going to pull the bottle out, and this is brand new. I don't think I've ever taken this bottle out. So there we are. We'll let you take a look at the bottle and the color. Now, the Abonad was a natural color, non-chill filtered. I'm not going to say that about this. It's not going to give me that information, but I'm going to say that this is definitely, it does come from sherry casks, so there is a certain percentage of that color that is genuine, and there's a certain percentage I think that they have added. Chill filtered. I'm not going to say that it's a Delmore color. I don't think they use that much of the caramel, but what the heck? Let's not worry about it. Let's enjoy this and let's open it up. And we will grab my knife and let's see what it is all about. I love opening a new bottle. It's one of the more exciting things that I do during the day. Opening up a new bottle, it just is such a thrill. And oh boy, the top of this is, it just doesn't come apart that easy. You might have to give it a little bit of help here. Coax it along a bit more here. So there we are. They do have a fairly big cork, and that's part of it, eh? So there we got it off. And noted for their big monstrous cork there. And we will do the pour. The interesting thing here is I don't know how much coloring. When they add coloring, because it's sherry, it's really really hard to say what it is. So Well, we got a chance to look at the color, and again, you know, we don't know how much coloring, but it does come from sherry cask. I believe this is American oak, and I'm not reading European oak. I believe it was American oak bourbon, but definitely sherry hogshead. And let's give it the nose. Well, it's got a lot of sweetness and caramel right off the bat. Right off the bat, I'm going to say the sherry for sure. Sherry hogshead. Lots of fruit. This is definitely approaching a sherry bomb. But not the, I'm not getting the heavy whiff of alcohol I get from the Aberlour, but remember that's a cask strength. Or the Alba. So we've got, in the nose there's some leathery stuff now going on. A little bit of floral. Boy, I got a whiff of cinnamon. Yeah, a slight bit of orange citrus there. Chocolate. You know, this is very sherry forward. When you're looking at, let's say, the Macallan's back here, you get a little bit of that. You know, your Macallan, the 15 or the sherry cask, or the even the classic cut. And both distilleries are very close to one another. Isn't that interesting, eh? They're bicycle distance apart. And then the other sherry bomb is probably bicycling distance to the south, and that's Billy Walker's Glenallachie. And of course, Craigallachie, you're right in the Craigallachie area there, so. And then to the north, you've got Glenross. You go a little farther to the north, you got Speyburn. And then you go a little farther to the north, and you go Longworm. And if you go to the east, you got Glenfiddich and Balvenie. And so on and so on. And oh my God, Craigamore's in there someplace to the south. And boy, we talked about Speyside. This is in the center of the Speyside. Yeah, nice nose. It's not overly intense, but just complex enough to be interesting, you know. So, let's do the palate. Solange. It's got body to it. It does leave a nice coating on your mouth. There's definitely the sherry, the dried fruit. No bitterness. Something between sweet and sour. Getting a little bit of the chocolate again. Now date squares. Now we're getting a little bit of the malt. Kind of a crisp. You know, I usually a bit of I'd say apple crisp. Getting the apple crisp now. Waiting for the vanilla. Some of the reviewers said vanilla, but I'm still getting more of the fruit. Still coating my tongue. A little bit of coffee notes there. And we'll say she's starting to fade a little bit, so we will now go for the finish. Solange. So I'm getting a familiar sherry bomb hit here, where you get the the darker fruits, and the cherries and the berries, but it always gets tied up with the real dark fruits like the dates and the figs, and even dried prunes. Stewed plums maybe we could throw in there. I think that's very fitting. I think the stewed plums. Yeah, maybe even some stewed apricots. So maybe a little more tartness coming on there. I'm not getting the bitter notes. I know that some of the one in particular review he talked about as it develops and we're getting into the finish, that he found that he got the bitter notes. So I'm still waiting for those to come. Our palates are all different. Sweet, good tongue coating, and the chocolate and the tobacco definitely coming through here. So we had the leathery notes to the nose, and almost that leather. I missed, I had something there and I missed it. I'm going to say if I went back to the nose, I'm going to smell not just the leather, but I think I'm going to get some of that tobacco. But, for a 40, what can you do with a 40 ABV? Well, you can do an Aberlour 16. The oak, it's not over oaky. It's there. The oak is there, but it's not over oaky. I don't find astringency or anything like that in the oak. One of the reasons I did and went out and purchased this bottle and decided to do a review on it is that I find that we get caught up in our higher ABVs and we forget there is a few of these that are in the lower ABV, and some reviewers won't touch them. But I sort of think of where I started, and a lot of the whiskeys I started at were 40. And it's many years ago that, probably was drinking more 40s than I was, 46s or 56s or 60s and that. So it's kind of interesting how we evolve, our tastes evolve, our palate evolves. And it's the same thing with you're exploring the peated whiskeys. I probably drank a lot more peated whiskey in the past, and I don't drink as much. I still have the odd dram, but our palates change, and we got to sort of look at the marketplace, and of course, you out there that are looking for a review on something that maybe a lot of reviewers won't touch. I think the 16 is a presentable whiskey. I wish it was 46, but it's not up to me. This is what they're giving us. This review is for everybody. It's not just for those that are critical of the fact that this is not a 46. So, or a cask strength like the Elba and the Aberlour. So, and that's why I'm doing it. That's the reason I'm doing this, is because there are people, and I have friends, this is going to be a whiskey they'll really enjoy. So, I have not got any bitter notes on this. So my review is going to basically be pretty positive. But I also do measure what I paid for it, and this was, darn, it wasn't that much, $119 or whatever. I think it's a little more in other places, but I think that's what I paid. Where would I put this in terms of a score? I don't think I can put it up where the Aberlour is, but I could definitely do an 82 to an 83, somewhere in that area. This is an enjoyable whiskey. It's something I could sit and maybe in the colder weather that we're getting right now. This is nice. And for those of you that want to get into the cask strength Aberlour or the Elba, here it is, the Aberlour, and I believe it's 59.6%. It's very sherry forward. It's driven by sherry. Basically, Spanish Oloroso sherry butts, and I love this stuff. I don't know if it's for everyone, but I like it. So there is the amplified version of this, okay? Again, 40%, 59.6%. So, also, you can watch that video I did earlier, basically Aberlour Abanad, and you can also get a lot more of the history of the distillery, etc., and more detail on the Abanad. So anyways, on that note, I am going to ask you to drink wisely, drink intelligently, and do not drink and drive. And until the next time, Slàinte.